Hi, my name is Zenande Mashiya, and I am the head of youth client at Standard Bank, and this is my journey. My name is Zenande Mashiya. I was born in 1993 on the 28th of December. I was born in the Eastern Cape. We soon moved to Johannesburg, I think, when I was about 2 years old. I'm the last of three born girls. I was raised by a single parent. I grew up in a small suburb called Eden Glen, and I went to Eden Glen High. Um, my childhood was really filled with lots of sports, playing outside until the street lights came on. And there was a very strong sense of family, and I think that's really just laid the foundation for the person I am today.
I love that. And speaking about family and speaking about Eden Glen and also where you come from, I was like, okay, let's also tell our viewers. So the reason why we couldn't have our sit down a week ago, I think, is because Zenande is a supermom. And our little one was sick. And the reason why I want to just touch up on that is you mentioned that you grew up in Eden Glen and you went to a school where you have fond memories of you playing sports and playing sports at the highest level also,
Yes.
representing not just your school but your district.
Yes.
What is it like now hearing, let's say, your son speak about his version of events and how he's now finding that space where you were molded and shaped by?
Yeah. Look, it's such a beautiful full circle moment for me for my son to attend the same primary school that I went. And funny enough, he actually sits in the same class that I sat in when I was in grade 3, and now he's in grade 1. Um, Look, it's a really full circle moment for me to have my son in the same school that I was, and just to realize how childhood will always remain childhood. As much as we've got so many different things from a social media perspective, but our childhood was so similar. He really does enjoy going out to play on the field with his friends, which is something I really loved. Um, he really reminds me and really takes me back. And sometimes when I even go there, I just look at the school and remember how small I was, looking at the bathrooms, at the toilets, and I think to myself, I was once this young. And I really hope that he cherishes these moments, because the older you grow, there's just so much happening on the move. And I really hope that he really takes this in. And I also just do my best as his mom to ensure that he stays as young as and as long as possible, and he's really like young at heart, and he really has a full childhood.
I love that. And you also spoke very warmly about your mom's strength and how her love and discipline, as much as at the time it kind of maybe came off as strict, it really shaped you into who you are.
Yeah.
Now, how much of that have you taken into, your version of motherhood and being a mother now? How much of those lessons have you shared?
Sure. My mom was so strict. I remember my mom chasing us around the complex just so that she could beat us. And at that time, I used to be like, I don't understand why is she doing this to us? But I've come to realize, and as I have my own kids, that it was from such a deep place of love, and her wanting us to, and wanting her wanting to see us thrive and become better people. And I look at myself now and I resemble my mom so much. It's the funniest thing. I resemble my mom so much. I'm so strict. But I hope my kids, just like I've grown up to realize it was from a place of love, realize that it's from a place of love, and that in this society, with what's happening with men and boys, that all I'm trying to do is raise strong, respectful, and boys to give them a solid foundation. So yeah, and like my mom is my biggest friend. I don't think a week passes without seeing her, 3 years without speaking to her. And it just goes back to, it wasn't that she hated us, or she was really doing it to sort of lay a strong foundation for us. And it's really built the person that I am today as a woman, and also as a parent.
I love that. And for me, one of the main things that stood out when I was just doing a little bit of research about you is specifically how your mom also built a resilient lady. And there's a specific story where I want us to maybe just bring the viewers in. You were playing for your not just school, but you were representing your district, and something bad happens. And usually, when bad things happen, especially at such a high level, it's very easy to blame it on, oh, I had an injury.
Yeah.
Please, can you just tell our viewers what it was? Where were you? What? Just paint the setting for us.
I remember I was in grade seven, and I think we were in probably our fifth lesson, which was computer class. And in computer class, because of all the computers, we used to have to put our desks, our bags in the middle of the class. And I walked and I tripped and I fell. And I felt such a strong pain, and I knew it was in my arm. But I knew that later that day we had our final match. I was, like you said, I was representing our district in the Gauteng Nationals, and it was the semi-finals. And I thought to myself, "There's no way I'm not playing that game." But as the day progressed, my hands started swelling up. But I said to myself, "I'm gonna hide it." I remember how hot it was, and I remained wearing a long sleeve jersey, and I just continued playing. And I think that moment for me really has taught me how to push through even when it's painful. Because I just couldn't imagine not taking part in it. Like for me, netball was one of the biggest was an amazing thing for me because it's something that for the first time I felt was my thing, the first thing I ever felt I was good at. So to not take part in one of the biggest games, I said I couldn't. And I think till this day, I still remind myself that you should be able to always push through, even when it's painful, even when it's hard, even when you don't want to do it. You should really just push through. I mean, I know a lot of people experience not wanting to get up in the morning, but getting up in the morning is your biggest blessing. So if you just push through that first part, there's nothing you can't do.
I love that. I just want to take you back to another blessing that was disguised in bad news again. This is where, you've achieved so much. You are a top student. You are playing for, your school, your province, and now we're thinking about the next steps in life.
Yeah.
And you know what that pressure is like because we expect everything from you. I mean, you're already excelling in school. Let's speak about the news that your mother gave you when you had to now start understanding the value of waking up in the morning and how that is a blessing.
You know, growing up, because we all think life is just a straight line, you assume that you leave matric and you pass matric and you go on to varsity. And I remember my mom, just before, I think it was around October, just before we started final exams, she sat me down and she said, "I won't be able to take you to varsity. There's just no money to take me to varsity." My mom is a single parent, and there was three of us in the house. And it was in that moment where I really learned the phrase that says the future is in your hand. And I thought to myself, what next? What does this mean for me? Because I just assumed that it's from high school to varsity, and that was just it. So I went to an internet cafe and I did all the research I could. I then did research on NAFSIS. Unfortunately, I couldn't qualify because my mom was past the earning threshold, but because there was three of us, she just couldn't do it. I finally then did my research, got onto a student loan from Standard Bank, and I remember very many years later walking into the Standard Bank building and another full circle moment. And I remember standing in the foyer and not believing that the day I walked into the branch to go look for a student loan would all come back to the day that I finally work at Standard Bank. And today, I'm the head of youth clients, which is such an amazing thing for me. And that just taught me that where you started is definitely not the stamp of where you are going.
I want to circle a little bit on that starting point. And usually, when we think of district players, we think of people that excel at school. We think of our top five varsities. We think UJ, Stellenbosch, UCT, Wits, you name it. You decided to go a different route.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into the course just now. But what was that route that you made? And please, can you just elaborate a little bit more on why you decided that route and how it's actually worked out for you?
Cool. So I was growing up, and I think parts of me still are very shy, very introverted. So I just knew, look, when I think in grade 10, when all the different universities come in and everyone's taking interest in these big schools, like you said, the UJs. And I thought to myself, and they explained how many people can be in a class. And they were like, there could be 80 students in one class. I said, there is no way. There is no way. I wouldn't find myself thriving in such a space where there's so many people. And to your point that when you think of people, and especially excelling, you think of great academics. I was a great academic, but I also needed that one-on-one sort of learning. And then to your point, I went to Dublin. I chose a very small college. I went to Dublin, where I graduated with a distinction in business mathematics. So yeah, it was very exciting for me, and I think that environment really helped me thrive. And I also learned the importance of close circles and small circles. I don't know what would have become of me had I gone to somewhere that didn't suit me, but just for the pressure of wanting to belong to a UJ, or a big name. So I'm really glad that I took that decision.
I love that. And your baby boy is still in primary school,
Yes.
right? But when he gets to that point where he wants to not think about his future, what advice in terms of going private or going the government institution route, is there benefits that you think one has more over the other?
Look, I really can't speak for the bigger ones because I've never been there. But I think when the time comes for him, my biggest thing is he needs to do what he feels right is for him. And if my son feels like university is not, or even higher learning is not something that he wants to do at that point, I'm an open parent to be like, do you want to take a gap year? Do you want to figure out what you want to do? Because, like I said in the beginning, life is not a straight line, life is not linear. And you need to allow your kids. And I actually read a post yesterday that said, we are the new age parents. We are bridging the gap where, as when I was growing up, there was not much choice. It was what my mom said, and that's what went. Now, there's so much in the works. There's social media. There's different pressures that we are experiencing. There's mental health issues. So I don't want to be the reason, or be the reason to push my son into something he doesn't want to do. In terms of, is one more beneficial than the other, I think education is education, and it's just about how you take it. But I think it's also very important you understand and you know yourself and which environment you thrive the best in. There are people who thrive in groups, there are people who thrive in smaller groups. So I'm just waiting and I'm watching and trying to figure out and learning my son to see what he likes. But he seems like more like the extrovert. So
Oh, no, always.
I'm seeing that, and I'm also seeing like him just like leaving home.
Okay.
I'm seeing him going to like a UCT. He's very independent.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that he gets from me. But I learned it from being in a smaller group and from my mom and from my smaller circles. That's where I learned my independence. So I'm very hopeful, and excited to see what he turns into.
I love that. I love that. Now we're going to get into the moment. Got the ice breaks and all of that out the way. Now this is where I'm really trying to get to know you, because doing the research, I learned so much.
Yeah.
Sometimes trial and tribulation and fear shouldn't hold us back.
Sure.
That 2020 meeting where you were told, if you aren't happy, don't just leave. Don't just, why don't you just leave? Sounds like a defining point, or a lot of people that makes or breaks them.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Sure. That moment created a mantra that I live by, which is, my peace is my most important thing, and there's no price to my peace. So in June of 2022, we were just the beginning of COVID, working from home, and I wasn't happy where I was working. I felt like I wasn't heard, I wasn't seen, and one of the reasons I was given was because I wasn't the loudest voice in the room. I then raised this, and it then got to the big boss, and we had this conversation over a Teams meeting. And just like you said, I'll never forget voicing out how I felt, and him just coldly saying, "If you're unhappy, why don't you just leave?" I sat back and I thought, wait, you're supposed to reassure me and tell me that
Yeah.
I can do this. This happens. This is corporate. This is. But in that moment, a huge shift happened to me because he was right. I had to ask myself, why would I stay in a place where I wasn't happy, where I didn't feel fulfilled, where I didn't feel content, I didn't feel like I was thriving? And from that moment forth, I realized that everything is about me. I'm the one who puts in the hard work. I'm the one who wakes up in the morning. I'm the one who is putting in and showing up. So how am I helping if I am not happy? How am I pouring into the company if I am not happy? And I think since that day, I've just realized that if it's bigger than my peace, if it's draining from my peace, if it's taking away from my cup, it's not a place where I want to be in. And I think that helps me so much now in the things I choose to do, the things I choose to partake in. That is it pouring into self first. Yeah, yeah. That was a big moment for me, and I thank him. I thank him for that moment.
I was literally about to ask that. Looking back at it now, would you say that that moment really that was that missing piece that you needed?
I needed that moment because there was a point where I thought to myself, maybe then I need to change. Maybe I need to start becoming the loud
Conform
voice.
to it.
Yes, maybe I need to start playing this corporate game that everyone else is playing. But then I thought how exhausting that would be to have to be someone different between 8 and 5, and then become myself again afterwards. And I thought to myself, there's no way. And I'm in a place now where I am accepted because I bring unique value. I'm accepted because people recognize the work that I put in. So that was an amazing moment that I carry with me, and I'm so thankful for that moment.
It's just picking up from even the example that we made with the matrix, and thinking that those final exams are everything to us. Your definition now that you've gone through all these different milestones, like you mentioned, what is your definition of success? Is it hard work? Is it tenacity? Is it resilience?
I think for me, it's definitely tenacity. The one thing about talent is a starting point, and talent sort of it's not a guarantee. It can open a door for you, but tenacity is what keeps you walking through the door. Many talented people never reach their potential because they give up when they sort of shut down, and tenacity ensures that you keep going and keep building momentum. And the other thing about timing is that timing is so unpredictable. You never really know when a chance might come your way. But like my colleagues always say in the office, tenacity builds a thing of you gotta stay ready so you don't gotta be ready.
Yes.
So tenacity for me builds resilience, and success always comes after setbacks and rejection and failure. And tenacity is what helps you bounce back. So I think every time you choose to keep going and build confidence and credibility, that sort of builds momentum that compounds over years, and that sort of for me that turns the small wins into big breakthroughs. So yeah.
I love that your example was tenacity, because you also speak about contentment, and you speak about being content. So what's the balance? When are we content? When do we fight back? And when do we just, allow God's timing and also allow whatever is meant to be?
Yeah. I think contentment is a very personal thing. And when I define my personal success, it's about me being content and me being able to reach my own personal goals. I'll speak a lot about social media because that's the age we're in. And social media has created this distorted image of what success looks like. It it's made it seem like it's the tangible things, the cars, the houses, the luxury clothes. And for me, that's not what it is. Success is, am I happy? Am I reaching my daily goals? Am I healthy? Am I a good parent? Am I a good partner? Am I a good daughter? Am I a good friend? And that's where for me it lies. I mean, I do hope and wish for my luxury dream car or for my dream house, but for me that's not my success. It's just a part of the journey. It's the milestones in my journey. So I think we really need to understand that and people's success is not going to be the same. What defines success for you won't define success for me, because I'm not saying that the people who are on social media or the people with the big houses all are not successful. For them, that is what success looks like. But for me, success has to be a personal thing. You need to define for you what success is, and not let society define what success looks like. Yeah.
I love that answer. And you also speak about learning to give yourself grace.
Yes.
So when was that period? Because it's almost as if this understanding of how you see things was born in that beautiful moment when you started to learn how to give yourself grace.
So, if there's one thing they don't tell you about as you get old and start reaching certain milestones, is the amount of self doubt you're going to experience. And not just in your career, but there's times when I've questioned my parenting. There's times when I've questioned me as a friend, and am I doing enough? Am I showing up enough? But then I realized that every time I wake up, I'm experiencing life for the first time. This is my first time being here. So I need to give myself grace that I'm not an expert at everything. I'm not going to be amazing at everything, and I'm human and I make mistakes. So I think if we allow for people to make mistakes, we should allow ourselves to make mistakes. Like you said, I've been through many ups and downs, and I've never looked at my downs as failures. I've just looked at them as a stepping stone to my next. Because we give people a lot of grace, and we'll say, "Oh no, the person was late because they were stuck in traffic." But then the day I'm late, I'm gonna beat myself up and say I can't keep to time. So let's just allow that every day we're living is not gonna be the same. Today is not gonna didn't start like yesterday. It's not gonna end like yesterday. How I parented yesterday is not gonna be the same way how I parented the day before. So it's just understanding that you're human, and you every day is a new day for you. Like literally, it's a new experience.
I love that. If your younger self could see the woman that you are today, what would you be most impressed by? Because you're leading teams, raising kids, aspiring for your goals. What do you think would be the highlight so far?
I think she wouldn't believe how confident I've become. Um, coming here didn't even take any convincing for me. But this is something that I think in the past would have felt so far fetched. I think we talk about imposter syndrome, and that's really a real thing. Asking yourself, do I belong in this room? Am I enough? Am I qualified enough? And I think I used to ask myself that a lot, not even growing up, a couple of months ago. But I think there's just, and I can't even tell you what it is, but there's a shift that happens then that you just realize that, wait, I'm far. I'm really far. And I think we like looking at we like doing this reverse thing where we compare ourselves, but in the worst way. So you look at your peers and people you went to school with, and you're like, oh, that girl, we were in the same class, and now she's driving a Merc, and she's just made partner at a law firm, and that's where it ends. But then you forget to look at yourself and realize, damn, like I've I've come a long way, I remember my mom when I got the role for a head, and she said, you're 30, right? You're going to be a head. I'm like, yes, and because some of these things just felt so far-fetched for us growing up and just didn't look possible. And I want to say, and especially to the young black kids, that black child, it is possible. Let me be your living proof. I didn't go to any prestige schools. I didn't go to your saints. I had that average childhood. I didn't wear any labels, raised by a single parent. So I want to tell you now, at the age of 31, as being a head at Standard Bank for youth clients, that it's possible. It really is possible.
Love, love, love that. You talked about shifting from self doubt and self worth, and I think a lot of this answer is that. And I just want to circle on that because you could see it. I think you could hear it. Would have loved to see who you were before because you could see it, with your new mindset and how you look at life. What are 3 core values that you just live by?
And I bring unique value. I am enough. And I am chosen, God looks into the details of our lives. He knows every single one of them. He is the author. So I am chosen to be here right now on this chair. I am chosen to be alive. Like I said, every day when we wake up, it is a blessing because there are people who went to bed last night and didn't make it this morning. So for me, those are the 3 most important things. Just honing in on that, moving from self-doubt to self-worth, I think for me, and as a black female in corporate, is so important. It's just important to believe in yourself first. before wanting other people. How can I expect people to believe in me if I don't believe in myself? You know. Um. So yeah, for me, that's definitely where I am.
I love that. How much of religion or Christianity, to make it even more specific, has been at the core value of who you are as a person?
So a lot of it was growing up. I don't want to say it was forced. A lot of it was never my choice. It was the Sunday morning routine. We wake up, we have breakfast, and we go to church. You know, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for those choices that my mom took for me. But then as I grew older, and then my mom stopped attending church as much as she used to. I then realized that, okay, so does it mean I need to stop, you know? So I think the older I got is where I started forming my
You
relationship
took in
with
your own
God.
hands.
Yes. I formed my relationship, not the relationship my mom had created through Sunday school. I took it upon me. Um, so like growing up, I'm really grateful for that for my mom. But like I said, with the new age parents, so I'm not forcing it on my kids. I ask my kids on Saturday, do you guys want to wake up and go to church, or you would like to sleep in? Sometimes they come with me. Sometimes we'll watch it online. But it's also understanding that the relationship does not sit at church. It's in here. It's between the conversations you have. It's between the praise and worship you have, and that relationship with God has really been an anchor in my life. And it's sometimes not that it's not loud. It doesn't have to always be loud. It's those small, quiet conversations with God. And it doesn't all have to even be your words. It could be through praise and worship. It could even be through your tears. It could be a private thing in your room, or it could be a simple conversation, or that simple, thank you for waking me up this morning. Yeah.
I love that. You also speak so beautifully about giving yourself grace and these small steps that you speak about. For someone who's listening to this right now and is in that dark space, I think the hardest thing after diagnosing that, yes, I have the issue and I want to make change, is the starting point.
Yeah.
Every journey, before you go and get in the car, you need to know, okay, we're going from point A, which would be home. Where would you say a good starting point of fixing yourself and being a better version of yourself? Where do you start?
Yeah. I think you mentioned it. It's definitely in the realizing, and not allowing other people to diagnose you. It's realizing that I have an issue and I want to do something about it. Um, and then for me, and not everyone is into Christianity. So for me, it starts with the conversation with self, like I said. And there's that saying that says, once you've hit rock bottom, so you're at the bottom and you look to the side and you look down, and the only way out of it is up, you know. But like I say, give yourself grace. Up doesn't have to be fast. Up doesn't have to be loud. Up doesn't have to be theatrical for everyone to see. It doesn't have to be you crying on social media, you posting you. Up could be just a personal, slow, quiet journey, you know. I think many of us in life have felt like we've hit rock bottom, but many of us have made it out, because going back to the only way out of rock bottom is going up. So, and for me, it's also important to allow yourself to be in it. How people keep going back to rock bottom is because they don't allow themselves to feel it. They wanna be okay. They wanna show up. They wanna, you know. For me, it's go through the motion, go through the waves, write it out, feel it. I'm not okay. I need to take some time off. Sit back, be by yourself. Once you feel like you're back, take it slow. Don't. You can't rush healing. And just like life, healing is not linear.
Yeah.
And one day it's a good day, the next is a bad day, and allow yourself to have those days. I don't believe anyone could ever say I'm completely healed. I've been through so much, and I don't believe I'm completely healed. I wake up on some days and I'm just like, oh man, not today, hey, not today. And I brave it out. But at least I'm able to go back home and be like, yeah, you know, today's this. I just want to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to anyone. And that's
Just keep that.
And that's okay. Hey, it doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. You're just going through the motions of life.
I love that. Last but definitely not least, and I think you, in every small answer, it always circles back. you clearly speak about life in a straight line.
Yes.
And you speak of these small detours that make us, sometimes cars break down, you punch a tire, but that's life. You're still going forward. It's still that straight line. To the people that have let the detours become their new journeys and have let, sometimes it could be substance abuse. It could be, you needed just assistance and you stop for that 2 seconds. And that dependable has now become your new nightmare, for people that deal with that. And, especially for the young youth, because, leaving from matric to varsity, you are no longer under your mom's guidance. That kid that goes to UCT is far from their parent, and there's different edge-ons, friends and friendship groups and influences, that's the better word, influences. What would you say to those people that have been influenced and find themselves now in the detour and they're finding it hard to get back to where they were actually going?
You know, there's hitting rock bottom and all, but there's only one end to life, and it's the day our heart stops beating. So until the day your heart stops beating, until that day, every other day you have the chance. There's no way where it's written that drug addiction, that is your end. And I think I've mentioned and I keep saying that everything is about you. Your path is yours alone. And it's so important that sometimes you remove yourself. And I know as a young person, it's so hard to move with the current and go where everyone else is going. But, and it's something I actually learned in varsity. In varsity, we were a group of 4. And all 4 of us used to love going out. And we used to party and have a good time. But the one forgot that you also need to study.
Yes.
There needs to be a balance here.
Yes.
And luckily, I caught a balance with my other 3. The other 2, all 3 of us caught a balance of you play hard, you work hard. And unfortunately, the one never made it to graduate. And that taught me the balance of life. So, and that also taught me that sometimes you must speak to yourself and not always move with the current. If you know you're not strong academically, you can't always be partying with us every single Saturday. You must know that, okay, there's 4 Saturdays in the month, at least 2 I can party, the other 2 I must stay at home.
Dedicate them to the books. Yes.
So I think for me, just attempting to answer your question, it's really knowing yourself and finding yourself. And you know that you can find yourself multiple times. The person I was 3 years ago is not the person I am today. The woman I am 2 months ago is not the person I am today. We are constantly evolving, constantly growing, influenced by many things. So for me, it's important to have a good circle. A circle of friends, a circle of family. My sister doesn't have friends. My sister, her friends are her family, and I love that for her. It's important to surround yourself and know your why. It's so important in life to have a why. I have 2 whys. My first son and my second son. Everything I do is around those 2 boys. It's ensuring that I make them proud. I'm able to provide for them, and I'm able to be an amazing example. So for me, find your why, find yourself, know your purpose, and understand that failure is just a part of the journey. There's the one song, there's 2 that say the same thing. Elias says, if you fall, dust yourself up and try again. Then Umandoza says, so you can fall and you can get right back up. That's like death is our only sentence to the end and nothing else.
Love that. Love, we're about to get into quick fire and everything. Remember what we said, don't overthink it. You ready? Okay. Question number 1. Biggest L in life?
Not believing in myself sooner.
Greatest win so far?
Apart from my kids, it has to be my beautiful Beamer. I love that girl.
One daily habit that keeps you grounded?
Prayer and talking to my mom.
Current anthem or song that you have on repeat?
It's a song by Benjamin Dube. It calls He Keeps Doing.
Okay. Now, here's for the main one. If a shoe could describe your journey, what shoe would it be and why?
It has to be an all-star Converse. You know that shoe's so uncomfortable in the beginning. It's so painful in the beginning, but it's the most reliable shoe. It's one of the shoes that looks so good as they get old. And I think that's just been my journey, man. It's been tough in the beginning, but here I am. Look at me now.